back to the 815 Exchange. I am your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 336 once again. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while since we've been here in the 336. You've seen this setup in quite a couple months, actually, but we're here live from the 336 for episode 41 of the 815 Exchange. And my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, we had a lot go on in sports and entertainment. This is a massive episode when it comes to content. So plenty for me to talk about. Of course, the NBA ended. We had the NHL playoffs start. Like, there's so much. European soccer starting to end in an incredible amount. So should be a good episode. And yeah, as always, timestamps are in the description. So if you're looking for a specific topic, you're looking for the MLB, you're looking for combat sports, which is the first topic today, you can go to the comments, you can go to the description, you can find that topic, click on it, it'll take you right there. And as always, if you're looking for my social medias, feel free, also in the description, Twitter. I'm super active on Twitter. That's probably where, if you want to interact with me the most, your best bet would be Twitter. Also Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is, feel free to do that. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, it's a very big episode. We're back home, so let's get straight to it. Let's not waste any time. And like I said, the first topic for today is combat sports. UFC 262. No boxing this week, but UFC 262. And, you know, in the shadow of UFC 261, it was always going to be a hard follow-up after the absolute chaos. As I titled it on, I forget which episode it was, the most violent night in UFC history. It was always going to be difficult to try to come back from that. But UFC 262, still had its fair share of fireworks. Let's start off with the main event here, and that's, of course, Charles Oliveira taking on Michael Chandler for the UFC Lightweight Championship. As we all know, Khabib has retired, therefore he had to vacate the Lightweight Championship. Finally, Uncle Dana was able to come to terms with the fact that his golden goose was actually hanging it up and had nothing more to accomplish. So we ended up with Chandler and Oliveira, since Poirier and McGregor too busy fighting each other and going back and forth and all that stuff. Got you sitting on the sidelines, I guess, waiting for the winner or loser, whatever. But we had Charlie Oliveira versus Mike Chandler. Main event. And what a main event it was. What a main event this ended up being. Oliveira knocks out Michael Chandler in the second round after a wild back and forth first round. Oliveira, literally with the first strike, I believe, of the fight, a low leg kick, took down Chandler. It was just a brilliantly placed kick. Took down Chandler off that. Then tried to rush Chandler. Chandler got him in a guillotine, which Oliveira was able to get out of. And then it looked like Charlie always might get back into it. But then Chandler rocked Oliveira. It looked like he was going to win the fight. Did a great job on the ground. Did a great job grappling with somebody of Oliveira's caliber, especially with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Chandler did a phenomenal job with that. Looked like he might finish Oliveira at some times. And I certainly would think he would probably give the first round to Mike Chandler. But the second round started and Oliveira caught him. Oliveira caught, like I said, like I always say with combat sports, sometimes all it takes is one punch, one strike, one kick, whatever it is. In this case, it was a one punch. And that changed the fight. One punch, stumbled Chandler. He was unable to recover. Oliveira hits him with the flurries, and of course they get stopped. And Charles Oliveira, the Bronx, is your new UFC lightweight king. And, you know, what a journey. 10-year pro. He started this when he started in the UFC at 20 years old. So we got to see him get molded. Faced a lot of competition, a lot of great fighters to get here. And he's very, very deserving, especially what this run is. I find it very hard to, not call him the best lightweight in the world. Chandler, hats off to him. If you watch the UFC Embedded, it's like, if you're a combat sports fan, if you're an MMA fan, if you're just trying to get into the UFC, highly recommend. Before these big events, like I always say, go watch these UFC Embedded. Shows you more about the card, shows you more about the fighters. You really get to know them a bit more. and get a glimpse on what's going on. It's super cool. Some of the best content I think any sports league or organization does. So shout out to the UFC for that. But yeah, Chandler, great guy, fought a great fight. In another world, he might win this fight, but one punch is all it takes. I think he'll be back. He looked good. Of course, I think the winner of Poirier and McGregor should get Oliveira. If they take too long on that, maybe Justin Gaethje, maybe Gaethje versus Chandler. A lot of options. There's a lot of fights to be made, and of course you've got Islam waiting in the wings. He's kind of now the new boogeyman. So a lot of interesting fights now in lightweight with Khabib gone and Oliveira now as champ. Plenty to look forward to. Moving on to the co-main event, also in the lightweight division, another guy that's emerging is Beneil Dariush, and he put it on Tony Ferguson. Rest in peace to El Kakoi. He's done. Tony Ferguson is one of the greatest fighters to never, I would say, win the big one. He technically won it because he was an interim champ, but it wasn't the real thing, right? It wasn't the true title because Conor was gone or Khabib was gone. So he was a victim of circumstance, really. But Ferguson, he's done. T-Ferg is done. He's done. He's done. Benny just completely dominated this fight from the start of the bell in the first round to the end in the third round. It was a complete and utter domination. You could tell Tony was visibly frustrated, visibly shook, because I think maybe he felt the realization that, hey, I can't do anything against this guy. You've seen in the past 3 fights, which he's lost in dominant fashion, he's lost. Each of his signature weapons have been neutralized. And he was neutralized by Dariush. I mean, he just couldn't do anything on the ground. Dariush just completely smothered him. He'd outstrike him. Then that vicious heel hook. I really would like to know what Tony, if there was any major damage there, because it looked like it. Tony was in a lot of pain, but Tony is crazy. He's a lunatic. He's super durable. He wasn't ever gonna tap from that. He was probably gonna let Dariush rip his leg off of his knee, if that's what it took. But yeah, Tony, great career, but it's time to hang it up. I can't stand to watch you ruin your record and just continue to get dominated like this. I know it's tough, but the game is past you. Guys like Dariush, they're next up. So all due credit to Dariush, but El Kakoi, it's called a career. Moving on to the third fight I want to highlight here, and it's not the third fight on the how you're going up the card. I'm going to go back to the first card, the opening fight of the main card. Shane Burgos and Edison Barboza. I just knew it was going to be a firecracker, and what a fight it was. Honestly, it's probably going to be one of the best 3-round fights of the year, even though it didn't go the full 3 rounds. It was probably one of the best fights I saw all year. Barboza and Burgos went back and forth. It was great to watch. Hopefully, if there's a means of you finding how to watch it, for legal reasons, I can't tell you to watch an illegal stream. But if that's what you want to do, feel free to. Sorry, Dana. But Barboza knocked out Burgos in the 3rd round on one of the craziest knockouts you ever see. Barboza hit him with the strike, and then Burgos just he hesitated. It was like he lagged. It was like a real life lagged knockout. Like he got hit, you could tell he was the lights were starting to go out, but he was still standing up, and then he slowly started to back, and then he fell over, and then that was it. Burgos fought a great fight though. I wouldn't have taken all those leg kicks, but he fought very good against. And again, it's another one where it could have gone the other way. In another world, maybe it goes the other way. But Barboza, gotta love him. Those leg kicks, vicious. He's still proved that he can hang, and that's cool. And especially in 145, if he can get his tempo, Barboza definitely can be a contender. I think Burgos is going to be okay. As long as he doesn't have any major damage, I think he'll be okay ultimately. And yeah, looking forward to what he does next. Looking forward to what Barboza does next. And to end here, talking about combat sports of the UFC this week, Botorin won his fights against Schnell. Missed weight though, so it's kind of I don't really know how to feel about that. Missed it by is a lot of you gotta make weight. You gotta make weight. I mean that's just it. Period. You gotta make weight, and he didn't make weight, but he still won. So it's just Jacare, love you, just like El Cucoy. It's time for that. It's time for the alligator to hang it up. Go back to the swamp, cause you're done. You're done. Arm got snapped. Literally his arm got snapped. It was one of the loudest arm snaps I've heard in quite a while. Luckily it wasn't too graphic, but that snap was not great on the ears. But, Jacare, great career. You're done. Caitlin Chukagan wins against Harajo. Again, she's not touching Valentina. Also, if you want some dose of entertainment or you're on demon time, feel free to go to Blonde Fighter, which is her Twitter handle. Go to Blonde Fighter on Twitter and go to Caitlin Chukagan's likes. And you can report back with what you saw and what you think about that. But that was UFC 262, another great card. I don't know why I can't say 262. I just said it. I don't know what's going on. But, ladies and gentlemen, that was Combat Sports. To move on here, we're going to go over to European soccer. Like I said last week, I said I was going to talk about it. I said I was going to talk about the soccer bros. I said I was going to talk about my footballers over there as their seasons are starting to come to an end. Felt like a lot of the sports league seasons kind of coincided and ended over this past week. In this case, European soccer has about a game or two, depending on who it is. Game or two left. You're starting to see a lot of these tournaments, league tournaments, country tournaments, starting to come to a close, like the one I'm going to talk about next in the English FA Cup. And, of course, we have the Champions League in, I believe, a week, 2 weeks. Next week. Yeah, next week is the Champions League final. So that's something to look forward to. But, like I said, we're going to start off with the FA Cup. We had Leicester City. What a run. What a great job Leicester City has done since winning the Premier League and using that money, using that exposure wisely to really seat themselves at the table amongst the best in the Premier League, amongst the best in England. They've done a great job of that. So, absolutely commend the ownership of Leicester City, and they got rewarded. They took on Chelsea, and even though I've become partial to Chelsea due to Pulisic and just kind of the dynamic of that team and Thomas Tuchel, they got outplayed. They straight up got outplayed. I have to give some credit, though, a lot of credit to Leicester City, though. They played a phenomenal game, and they won the FA Cup. So congratulations to Leicester City. I think that's their first big trophy since winning the Premier League. Well earned. Yuri Tillman scored an insane goal. Former FIFA 17 wonder kid Yuri Tillmans scored an absolute wonder goal. So yeah, credit to Leicester City. Guys like Tillmans stepping up, playing almost towards their potential. Guys like Jamie Vardy, he's a legend. And like I said, manager, just the front office, the whole administrative staff of Leicester City, I have to give, a hats off to for what they've done. And yeah, Chelsea gotta come better. They're fighting for top 4. They're in a heck of a fight right now. Leicester City, speaking of them, sitting at 66, Chelsea at 64, Liverpool at 63. All 3 of those teams fighting for those last 2 spots in the Champions League. Of course, we got Man City and Man U already clinched in, but it's not looking great. It's not looking great. Leicester City and Chelsea actually have to face each other again. Leicester City can clinch with the win there. Chelsea got a heck of a fight. Liverpool also just got to win. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very interesting ending to the English Premier League season. And yeah, Chelsea got to quickly knock off the FA Cup performance. Got to get back in form and got to get back to winning ways because it's getting close. I would like to see some Tammy Abraham. He's been a great teammate. I would like to see him. He can get the goals. So if you guys are tired, you need to mix it up. Tuchel, go to Tammy, go to Giroud. Switch up the formation a little bit. I'm not saying you have to do a complete overhaul, but something to think about. Dortmund took on Leipzig in the Pokal, another one of these league country tournaments. Dortmund, 4-1. And it was the Star Boys. Erling the Machine brought Holland, and Jaden Sancho took over. They both had braces. Then Sancho on the weekend to clinch Champions League football for Dortmund went and had himself 2 assists. I would be very hard-pressed to find any players hotter than Jaden Sancho right now. And Holland back from injury, he's back in and scoring goals like Erling Haaland only knows how to. Completely dominated Upamecano, who's considered one of the biggest physical freaks in the Bundesliga and one of the biggest physical freaks at the center back position in world football. And Haaland just completely, I mean, it was absurd. Just too strong, too fast, too good. Too fast, too strong, too good. Absolutely too good. He's a machine. Dortmund, they got hot. They win the Pokal. Congratulations to Haaland and Sancho. Again, they made Champions League again. We'll see what happens in the summer with the transfer window. And then I bet a lot of rumors about both of them possibly going to, different locations. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't think anybody would be opposed to seeing them continue to play together. They've got great chemistry. And Dortmund's a fun team to watch when they're both on form. Going on to Italy, another title race. Cristiano Ronaldo is in danger of not being in the Champions League. Cristiano Ronaldo, Mr. Champions League, the all-time leading scorer in Champions League. No man has won the Champions League more than Cristiano Ronaldo. He is synonymous with the Champions League music. Yet, he might miss out this year because Juventus has been not great. And also couple that with the fact that Italy is having its strongest title race in quite some time. Atalanta clinched. They're at 78 points. Then here's where it gets tight with 3, 4, and 5. Napoli's at 76. Milan's at 76. Juventus is at 75. But the problem for Juventus here is they don't hold the tiebreaker over Napoli or Milan due to their performances this year. So they have to win out, and they need one of Napoli and Milan to lose. It's looking tight. It's not the position Juventus will want to be. You would much rather, of course, in this situation, have control and have, have control of your situation, be able to, hey, if we just win out, we just handle our business, get a win and a draw, get those 4 points, we're in. But that's not the case. Juventus needs something else to happen here for them to make the Champions League, or we will be seeing Cristiano Ronaldo in the Europa League, which, honestly, if they don't qualify for the Champions League, I can see him leaving Juventus. Juventus has completely botched this situation, and I'm not quite sure how, even though I can tell how. It's just mismanagement, and it's costing them. It's costing them big time. Should have really probably never got rid of Conte after he did so well there. And you saw he goes to Inter, and he immediately breaks your title streak. And now you might not even make Champions League. So, tough situation for Juventus. Ronaldo, despite all this bad press, is currently in third after Messi scored yesterday. He's currently in third in the Golden Boot. So Ronaldo still playing very well, relatively not his best season, but hey, don't think he's falling off. He can still get it done. He can still produce the goals, but you need a team to get it done, and Juventus has not been the team this year. Now to head over to entertainment. I mean, it's probably in the title, but ladies and gentlemen, J. Cole dropped. But before we get to Cole World and my thoughts on the offseason, let's first talk about Juipter's legacy. I said I was going to talk about it, so let's talk about it real quick. I did, in fact, finish it. Honestly, the lore and the storyline behind it is very, very, very interesting, right? The whole setup for the show, very interesting. We're seeing all these different, superheroes. We're seeing all these different powers. We're seeing all these different relationships, but we're getting a glimpse. We're getting just a glimpse of it. We haven't seen the full story yet, and that's what gets my interest. Is the story the best? No, it's not on the quality of The Boys or Invincible, which is what I guess it's being compared to in terms of how different it is as a normal, superhero story. But, I mean, it's solid. I'd be interested in the season 2 just because I want to see these characters get fleshed out more so I can, help understand about the Utopian and Brandon and Chloe and everybody else and the young heroes, and it seems like there's a bunch of different heroes. So I'm interested in learning more because the concept, the background is cool. It's a little bit strange, you know, the whole powers and, you know, how they got them. But it's the relationships intertwined. I want to know more, you know. I want to know more. So if y'all do a season 2, of course I'll watch. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, this is the greatest show I've ever watched. Or this is one of the best shows on television. Because it wasn't. It really wasn't. But, I mean, if you got nothing else to watch in the summer, if you haven't watched it already and you're into the superhero stuff, give it a watch. You might like it. You might not. It was okay. It was solid. And that's what I thought about Jupiter's Legacy. Also watched the movie that Amazon has been pushing. Oh my goodness. How many, listen, for my people with Amazon Prime out there, and I've even seen it on regular TV, but especially my people that have Amazon Fire Sticks or Amazon Fire TVs or whatever, you know, where it pops at the normal Amazon home screen. Tell me how many times you have seen the Without Remorse promo. I believe I've seen it probably approximately about 30 times in the past 3 days. It is insane how much Amazon is pushing this movie. And Michael B. Jordan did a good job, you know, as John Kelly. I'll try not to spoil too much. Of course, we try to stay relatively spoiler-free. I do, you know, drop here and there because I have to tell my narrative, I have to tell my thoughts. But, of course, spoiler alert for those that haven't watched already. But, it's solid. Again, similar to Jupiter's Legacy, it's solid. The narrative was a little bit here and there. I've heard it's not completely faithful to Tom Clancy's material because it has to be put in movie format, and Clancy with the books was able to get much, you know, further in. Of course, for those that don't know, for my gamers out there, this is basically like this is part of the Rainbow series. The Rainbow, you know, like Rainbow Six Siege, and games like that. It's part of the Rainbow Six series. It's literally the prequel. In the post-credit scene, he literally forms Rainbow, which he does much earlier than he does in the books. But, you know, whatever. They're looking to make a franchise. I don't know if it was okay. It was okay. MBJ was great. Some of the other actors were great. But it was like, storyline wasn't all that enthralling. It was just kind of like your normal thriller action movie. It's not going to win any best of awards or, you know, an Oscar or really just be that entertaining. But it was okay. If you need a film that you just need to, you know, throw around, you just want to watch, you got nothing else to do, feel free. You know what? It's also a great, I feel like it might be a great film to, this is not Netflix, but Netflix and chill too. I feel like it's a great background movie. There you go. It's a movie you can just throw around in the background while you complete other things or do other things. Eat ramen. Plenty of options to do with without remorse. And yeah. Again, if you want to watch it, feel free to. You might be entertained. Honestly, it's not a bad movie, but it's an okay movie. It's an okay movie, and that's the best I can say. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about music. It was a massive, absolutely massive week in music. And of course, we're going to start with what was probably in the title, ladies and gentlemen. J. Cole, the first of the big three in rap, and really just kind of all the heavy hitters in rap, to drop this year, drop an album this year. I mean, technically, I guess Drake and Cole have dropped songs this year. But I digress. The off-season, highly anticipated, the off-season has arrived. Cole also made his African Basketball League debut. He scored 3 points, so congratulations to J. Cole for living out the dreams of millions of children around the world of being a rapper and a hooper at the same time. But the off-season, my standout track, I know a lot of people loved 100 Mil. I know a lot of people love that. Again, good song. He didn't miss on this album, okay? I liked every song on it. Again, like I said last week with Interlude, I don't know what you expected. I'm not finna come up here and be like, yeah, this J. Cole was mid. Or this J. Cole was trash. No, Cole was rapping his off, okay? He was rapping his off. It was great. He was great. He was great. And this was a great album. Was it like, I'm not going to give it Still drives, or say it's his best work he's ever done, but it's still very, very high quality. My Life with 21 Savage, and I forget who the other feature on that was. Beautiful voice, by the way. That was my favorite song off of my first and a half listen. Of course, that could change as always, as you know, music grows on me as I listen to it more and I can form a better opinion whether I like it or whether I don't. But the Offseason, I'm going to give a 9. I'm going to give a 9. Actually, I'm going to bump it up to a 9.2 because Cole was his rapping was that prolific on it. Probably one of the best albums of the year, I can probably say. Probably going to be one of the best albums you hear all year. I know a lot of my people that are big J. Cole fans. Shout out to my guy Kobe. Also, speaking of Kobe, shout out to the UNC Charlotte track and field team with that nice little three-peat indoor, cross-country, and now outdoor. All won in the Conference USA. We got the best track program in the Conference USA. One of the best track programs in North Carolina if you're a North Carolina athlete. Also, shout out to North Carolina A&T State University as well. Hey, if you're a track athlete, come to Charlotte. If you don't want to come to Charlotte, come to A&T. I got allegiances to both. Feel free to. Shout out to them. But all my friends liked it. All my friends enjoyed it. J. Cole did his thing. So, yeah, shout out to Cole World. Nicki Minaj. Yes, we're going to talk about Nicki. Not probably. I'm going to just straight up. She's the greatest female rapper of all time. Nicki Minaj. Her well-regarded mixtape, Beat Me Up, Scotty, finally dropped on streaming platforms. She also dropped, I don't really need to talk about it. You've heard, even if you're not a big Nicki fan, you have probably heard about Beat Me Up, Scotty, and all the stuff on there. So I'm not even going to talk about the past stuff, even though everybody on Twitter went crazy on that. If you want to hear somebody talk about that, go there. It's great. It's Nicki, old Nicki. Don't have to explain that. She dropped 3 new tracks. I forget what the third one was. I only really paid attention to Fractions. And, of course, YMCMB has returned, yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen. The big 3. Lil Wayne, Drake, Nicki, all reunited. Drake was actually on an Instagram Live that had like 1 million people on there with Nicki before, and they showed a lot of love. That was cool to see them, get together. 2 of the best, probably some would say the best male, some of the best female artists, I guess, of this generation. At least in hip-hop and rap, some would call it. And again, one of the most iconic pairings in hip-hop music history, probably. I'm saying probably a lot. I also need a water break. Nicki, Drake, and Wayne also just kind of reunited on Seeing Green, and it felt like old times. Cole dropped the album. YMCMB, Big 3 on one song, and they all blanked on it. It felt like old times. It felt like I was back in middle school, and I was listening to them, or in the first years of high school. It took me back. It took me back. It was a great time. What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Shout out to Nicki, though. Great stuff from her. Looked like she got that hunger back. She's, again, the best in the game. Best ever. Best female ever to ever do it. So, shout out to Nicki, shout out to Seeing Green, shout out to Drake, shout out to Wayne. Greatest of all time. So, Migos. The Migos are dropping Culture 3 in June. But the first single off of it, Straightenin', we've seen that music video about 56,000 times. Seen that one snippet that they posted a while. It's been played over and over. And the full song lived up to the hype. Straightenin' was great. Classic Migos. It looked like they're back. I know Culture 2 wasn't everybody's cup of tea. Because it was just too long. But Straightenin', it was that classic Migos sound, and it was very, very, very good. Offset currently leads the Migos power ranking heading here into 2021. I would have him number 1 ranked. Quavo can be at number 2. Takeoff at 3. We'll see if that changes. Migos, they, swap here and there. But I definitely say Offset had the best verse on Straightenin' and is currently the number 1 ranked Migos member, even though they're all great. And Migos were, great group. But yeah, we'll see if Culture 3 is more Culture 1 than Culture 2, hopefully. And yeah, that's Straightenin'. Also, to end off here on music, Slaughter Gang. 21, Nudie, some of his other artists in Slaughter Gang. They dropped a little 4-pack for the movie, The Book of Saul, that's about to come out, or just came out, I don't really recall. Honestly, great soundtrack, great 4 songs. They all made the playlist. We talked about Spiral before. Nudie dropped a good verse on the second one. Yeah. Slaughter, listen, 21 just doesn't miss. He doesn't miss. 21 and Nudie doesn't miss. It's, hey, it's hard to not be a fan. It's hard to not be a fan. And honestly makes me think about seeing The Book of Saul, even though horror is not always my first, go-to. The music is kind of got my interest, so I might check that out. But yeah, great 4-pack if you want to go check that out. It's the soundtrack to The Book of Saul. You can find it on all your streaming platforms. 21, Nudie, Slaughter Gang, bunch of great stuff. That was entertainment. Now to head over here with the time I have remaining with a quick little segment, ladies and gentlemen, on the MLB. Yes, baseball, unlike the other sports leagues, is fully set on the season. It just started. Everybody else is closing. MLB is taking over. And we had some interesting developments here. Of course, last week I talked about the Yankees. My Yankees. I also purchased the Aaron Judge jersey. And it just all worked out. It all worked out for me, It all worked out perfectly. Because Aaron Judge is hot. He's clearly our best player. He's the face of the franchise. We took the series against the Orioles 2-1, and Judge has been blacking out. 4 home runs in 3 games. He's so far clearly our best player this year. It's besides, I guess, Garrett Cole, who I guess if you're counting pitchers too, is our best player, so to speak. But Judge has also been great. 4 home runs in 3. We always seem to have one player that just gets boiling hot against the Orioles, not the Oilers. The Orioles, so no complaints there, but good stuff from the Yankees, back to winning ways. Clint Frazier seems to have swapped out his bat for his glove. He made another insane catch. Gold glove, Clint Frazier. I just need you to remember how to hit again. I know you had that home run, but you're striking out a little bit too much, my boy. Fix that up if you want to stay in the starting lineup. I really like you, Clint. I like what you got to offer, but you got to work on the inconsistencies. You got to work on that. Pujols, Albert Pujols. Once again, we did almost a career recap for the machine last week. But Albert Pujols decided, hey, I ain't hanging it up just yet. Let me go chase a title with the Dodgers. And yeah, Pujols to the Dodgers. He'll be on the bench. Maybe he'll be a great clubhouse guy. I don't expect him to play too much. Don't expect him to chase 700 there. But nonetheless, Pujols to the Dodgers. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that develops. We'll see what happens. Maybe Pujols has a renaissance. He turns back the clock with them. I wouldn't expect it. But, just something for a nice veteran, a legend of the game to help chase one more World Series championship. And, yeah, if any team to join, the Dodgers are probably the team to join if you're trying to do that. Jarred Kelenic, the number 3 prospect in all of baseball, finally made his debut. To Seattle Mariner fans, joy, and they just rejoiced. It was pure bliss. I have never heard the Mariners talked about this much in quite a long time, but they could not stop talking about Kelenic. Kelenic also didn't have the best debut game, but in his second game, he adjusted perfectly. And his first career hit, similar to Bryce Harper's 10 years ago, which he talked about watching, which makes me feel incredibly old, even though I'm only 20 years old, and Kelenic is probably the same age as me, if not maybe a year older. Because, where does the time go if a kid is talking about, I watched Harper hit this home run in his debut in elementary school. Anyways, Jarred Kelenic, first home run, first hit, could be the start of something special. He looks like a very special player. Honestly, happy for Mariners fans. They need it. They need some joy. They need some hope. They need something. And Kelenic looks like he's going to provide that and some excitement and some quality baseball to Seattle. So, congratulations on that. Congratulations on Kelenic on a great debut week, really. And to stay in that division, Ohtani and Trout. Needed to pull out some Ohtani and Trout maneuvers to help beat Boston 6-5. Ohtani, of course, with the go-ahead. Trout with the go-ahead run. It's crazy how the Angels ended up with 2 of the best players, but we still don't know if they're going to be one of the best teams. absolute insanity. Because we really do need to see Shohei Ohtani with how clutch he's looking like he is and how good he's looking like he is. And of course, Mike Trout is one of the greatest players of all time and certainly the best player in the world today. We need them in big-time games. I want to see Ohtani and Trout play big-time baseball. So, Angels, get it together. This is just like I was saying with McDavid and Dry. I want to see the best players play in the big games. Angels, please deliver that. The world deserves to see the Shohei Ohtani show and the Mike Trout show come to October. Come to maybe even November. The world deserves that. But for now, I will suffice with, them ending up on my podcast every single week because they put out something crazy. So, shout out to two of the best in the world, Shohei Ohtani and, of course, Mike Trout. The NBA, yes, the NBA is our final major topic before I go into a massive roundup. I mean, an absolutely massive roundup. But NBA, big news coming from there. Of course, we have the Hall of Fame. Kobe inducted Vanessa with a great speech. Jordan inducted him. Pop skipped the game to go to Timmy's induction. This was for the 2020 class. Also, reminder, this is for the 2020 class, not the 2021 class. That's later this year. They also got announced. We had guys like Paul Pierce, C-Web, Ben Wallace. Well-deserving Ben Wallace. Got in amongst other people. Kim Mulkey I also saw. And some other people. But we had the Hall of Fame. A lot of emotions there. A lot of great players getting inducted. A lot of great moments came from that. So, shout out to the Basketball Hall of Fame on a very successful event. And, Kobe, congratulations, man. You made it. You, like Vanessa said, you're not just an MVP. You're not just considered one of the greatest. You are one of the greatest. You are a Hall of Famer. With that said, let's get back to what's going on in the modern NBA. Because, well, the season ended. And, Stephen Curry blacked out. Absolutely blacked out. He did everything he had to do to make sure that the Warriors were making that play-in and that he was winning most importantly, making the play-in, but also that he was winning that scoring title over Bill. Warriors took on the Grizzlies and they won 113-101, if you couldn't tell by my introduction there. But Warriors get the win. Curry had 46. I turned to moments in this game. I didn't watch the full game because the FCS playoffs were on and I was also doing something else, I forget. But I turned to moments in this game. I turned into the last 2 minutes and it doesn't really make sense how good Steph Curry is. It doesn't. He's an anomaly. I know we always talk about his shooting abilities, but I can't exactly tell you what exactly his jump shot is. Because honestly, it just looks like sometimes he just kind of throws it up for wherever, and it looks like a solid motion. But as long as he does that, it's going in. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. He'll pull off some dribble move and then just pull it, and it's straight cash every single time. As a defender, that would have to be the most aggravating thing ever. Like, you can play perfect defense, but if he gets it in the air, it's going in. Because that's how it feels with Steph Curry. He's going on a rampage, doing everything he can to carry this Warriors team. And his reward, of course, is the matchup that everybody wanted. In the play-in game, they will have to face the Los Angeles Lakers, which they could have ever got. But it's the matchup they did get. I'm looking at the bracket right now. In the other playing game in the Western Conference, we got Memphis and San Antonio. That should be an interesting one. That should be a very, very interesting one there. And seeing who advances there. I would like to see Memphis. I don't think the Spurs really got it this year, even though DeRozan's nice and we know what Pop can do. I would like to see Ja and that young Grizzlies core get a chance to play in the playoffs. Lakers, Warriors, of course, like I said, that's the marquee matchup everybody's going to be looking at. The Jazz ended up eking out the Suns to get that first seed. So the Western Conference will go through Utah. We'll see how much of an effect that has. The Clippers, sad everybody, they avoid a first-round matchup as a result with the Los Angeles Lakers. Not to the Western Conference Finals. If the Lakers make it that far, I don't know if they are. In the Eastern Conference, we got LaMelo Ball. Perspective, possible Rookie of the Year. We got playoff basketball in Charlotte again, which is great. They're taking on Indiana. Sabonis, we know how good he is. Boston and the Wizards, I see also in that other game. With Jaylen Brown out, that's just tough. We know how good Russ has been down the stretch here. We know how good Bill is. I can really see the Celtics getting knocked off and not making the playoffs at all this year, if I'm being honest. Also, these records are kind of funny because it's crazy to see how much better the West is than the East. I mean, they're a little bit better, but in terms of the teams in the play-in tournament, there's nobody in the play-in tournament except for the Celtics is 500, and the Celtics are 500. Everybody except for the Spurs in the Western Conference is over 500 by at least 4 games. So, again, Western Conference prevailing, a lot of good teams. Even though the East, don't get me wrong, got a lot of great teams. And, of course, they got the Boogie team, the team I think that's winning the championship, and still has absolutely no excuse of not winning the championship. In the Brooklyn Nets, they had that crazy play yesterday. But, yeah, should be an interesting playoffs for the NBA. Should be interesting to see how these play-in tournaments go and what happens there. Can Curry carry? Can he carry them over the Lakers? That'd be a big accomplishment. I understand it a little bit more. I know in the past I've said I thought it was also stupid. I don't know if it was stupid and makes sense for the scenario, but it's not perfect. But it works, and hopefully it'll provide some entertainment for us as basketball fans. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the Roundup, and I've completed all my notes, which means I get to talk about this huge, like I said, absolutely massive Roundup I have 6 topics to talk about, so let's get straight to it. Medina Spirit, we talked about them. Medina Spirit, Bob Baffert, all the trouble they got in for popping at the Kentucky Derby. Investigation still going on, but Medina passed the health inspection for the Preakness. But despite leading for much of the Preakness and having the lead going into the final stretch, Medina Spirit got ran down, got straight hawked. You remember that DK Metcalf and Buda Baker play from earlier in the NFL year? Well, I guess last NFL season, I can say. When DK just absolutely hawked Buda Baker. That's what happened here. Ron Bauer wins the Preakness, absolutely hawks Medina Spirit and another horse, and wins a very impressive race by Ron Browner. We'll see what happens at the Belmont, but no Kentucky Derby winner this year. And with the Medina Spirit current situation, that's probably for the best. Barcelona wins the Women's Champions League over Chelsea 4-0. It was not a great weekend to be a blue in London. It just wasn't a great week. Real tough week. Maybe next week is going to be better. Hopefully it is, of course, but you need a great into the month of May and not how it started, because it hasn't been a great start. Barca thrashes Chelsea, first Spanish team to win the Women's Champions League. We've seen an uptick in quality, especially with the Spanish teams like Barca, like Real Madrid, starting to put more of an emphasis. We're starting to see more quality. We saw some of the American players go out there and play this year. So everything picking up. England's also stepped up. So huge win for Barca. Huge win for Barca, though. Congrats on the Champions League title. And Chelsea, hopefully Man City doesn't give you a little replay in 2 weeks' time. Jaden Hardy, the number 3 player in the country, probably the top guard, widely considered the top guard prospect in high school basketball, commits to the G League. I know there's been a lot of talk about the G League Ignite after Jalen Green's comments about if he had played college basketball, there really wouldn't be too much discussion on who would be the number 1 pick, which Kate Cunningham seems to take up as a shot. It seems like Kate and Jalen, which is weird because they're cool with everybody else in their class, but I don't know what it is. They don't seem to interact much, and it seems like there's a little bit of some tension between Kate and Jalen. I guess it comes from the competitiveness of both of those guys seem to be the top 2 players in the class, but seems to be some friction there for whatever reason. I've always sensed it. I don't know where it comes from exactly, but it seems to be something maybe to watch out for as they get into the league and what that might be. But Jaden Hardy follows Green's footsteps and is going to the G League Ignite. We saw how well, that helped for the development of the Ignite guys this year. And honestly, it was a better, if I'm being honest, it was a better tool of evaluating their performance against top-level competition than college ball. So interesting to see how hard he does. He's one of the best scorers, probably the best scorer, possibly the best scorer in all of high school basketball. So, interesting to see what Hardy does there. We'll see if anybody falls. They got him, Foster, and I know somebody else. But, nice start for the Ignite. In FCS football, which I talked about earlier, they had their national championship. Sam Houston State wins it late against South Dakota State, who have to be kicking themselves. Of course, we know SDSU, due to their rivalry with North Dakota State, who are the dominant team, as we all know, in FCS football. Well, this was the year. This was supposed to be the year for South Dakota State, with Trey Lance and other prospects for North Dakota State out. This was supposed to be the time. South Dakota State had made it, but they couldn't finish the job. And Sam Houston State clutches it out. Schmid with 3 TDs. I have to give a shout out, though, to South Dakota State's running back, Isaiah Davis. Played an incredible game, 14 carries, 178 yards, and 3 touchdowns on the big stage. Shout out to him. He was probably the best player in the game. But, unfortunately, team failed him. Really, his team didn't fail him. The coaching failed him. They could have done so much better to close that game. And, yeah, Sam Houston State, a third come-from-behind victory against the teams that were ranked 1, 2, 3 in the rankings for the FCS. So, congratulations to Sam Houston State. Well deserved. The NHL playoffs have started, and it's been very interesting. Crosby scored, but the Islanders won. McDavid and Dry made their debuts in the playoffs, but they also lost to Winnipeg. A lot of interesting storylines. It's going to be an interesting one. Toronto, the number 1 against Montreal. We got Edmonton, Winnipeg, Carolina, Nashville, Florida, Tampa Bay, Vegas, Minnesota, Colorado, St. Louis, Washington, Boston, and Pittsburgh, New York. Washington and Boston also. Zdeno Chara against his old team that he used to captain, I believe. And we saw how that went down. It was a nice little reunion. Tom Wilson, the biggest villain in the NHL, opened playoff scoring, so that was funny. Tampa Bay in the Battle of Florida. They're taking on the Panthers. We'll see if they can start and get a nice first-round win here to start their defense of the Stanley Cup, see if they can go back-to-back. Should be a very, very interesting playoffs. Of course, my Hurricanes taking on the Predators. Hopefully we can make another run like we did last year. But should be interesting. It's going to be something we talk about here more and as we go on here. As we talk about here more of it on the 815 Exchange. It's going to be something I talk about. Probably ends up becoming a main topic like it was last summer when I first started this podcast. WNBA season also started. Shout out to my ladies. A lot of interesting storylines there. Sabrina Ionescu back from injury in her debut. Well, in her third game. Only her third game. I guess she's technically a rookie. I don't know how that works, so I guess she'd probably be the favorite for Rookie of the Year, I'd say. If that's how it works similar to the NBA, I would think so, right? Well, Sabrina plays her third game for the Liberty, and in the debut game for them, well, she does what she does best, and she came up clutch. Mamba mentality. Sabrina Ionescu launches an unreal shot. You know, I was talking about Curry just throwing stuff up. Sabrina just completely threw that up. But it was money in the bank. Liberty got the win there late. She didn't have a great follow-up game. Had 8 turnovers, most for New York since 2012. So up and down. She's kind of going through the ups and downs that she didn't have last year because she was injured. But we'll see, and we'll follow how Sabrina does. We'll follow the WNBA. I know there's been a lot of people, asking me to talk about the ladies a little bit more and show some of the women. Because that is something, a part of sports media that is maybe not as acknowledged as much or covered as much. And I think that's an opportunity I could have, to exploit and kind of get some interest in, get into that market. We love everybody here at the 815 Exchange. We'll talk about water polo. I mean, USC won the water polo national championship against UCLA last year. So I'll talk about anything if there's a demand for it. And if people want to hear me talk about the WNBA, I will have no problem in doing so. There's plenty of storylines for me to talk about there. Of course, they also had that kind of 30 for 30. It's not really a 30 for 30, but they had that movie come out, or documentary, there we go, about their bubble. I haven't gotten around to see that. I'll try to check that out. So heard it was very good. But yeah, shout out to Sabrina. Should be an interesting WNBA season. A lot of new faces and new places, new jerseys. We'll see how Collier, Kaisri, and the rest of the rookie class does. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, that was a jam-packed episode 41 back here in the 336. I'm losing my voice, I feel. I've been talking for almost an hour, so it's about that time I finish all of my notes. I can't think of anything else more to say. But, yeah, cold dropped, cold world. Hope it's been a great week. It's finally summer. I finished my exams. My GPA is looking much better, contrary to popular belief, than, what it was, starting Zoom University. So that's good. Shout out to Quizlet. Shout out to Chegg. But, yeah, it's been a great week. Hopefully it's another great week. Hope you guys have a great summer. It's going to be a very good summer. It's going to be a good summer. A lot of big things coming up with A15 and some other things I have planned. So stay on the lookout for that. But yeah, without further ado, social media is at the end of this. Ocho, signing off.